Lemia breathed in the familiar scent of the graveyard. She always visited graveyards on this day. The day she learned her parents had been killed had bled out in the heart of her hometown while she was studying abroad, far from reality. For years she had carried the guilt, haunted by the thought that she could have done something, anything, to save them if only she were here. You can still make up for it, they told her in therapy. You can still save lives. And she'd made that her way of life. She'd saved so many people at camps, in the streets. She'd built shelters with the money she'd earned at hospitals. But as many as she had saved, she could not shake the feeling that she needed to do more, that her true purpose lay not in peace, but in the chaos of war. The sounds of explosions, the calls for help, these were the things that kept her grounded, that gave her a reason to keep going. A faint buzzing sounded in the distance, seeping into her thoughts. Her heart began racing, memories rushing into her mind. She could almost hear the echoes of the blast, the cries of grief. She could almost see the bodies and organs scattered in the streets, reflected on the screens. It was just like that day. Count, she thought. 1, 2, 3. The smell. 4, 5, 6. Of blood. 7, 8, 9. They depend on you. 10. Open your eyes. The graveyard was quiet, the breeze still blowing cold against her, drops of rain rolling down her cheeks. In that moment of eerie peace, she could have almost forgotten that there was a war going on. But she knew better. She headed to the hospital just before an explosion sounded, and the wounded began to be wheeled in. Her colleagues and the victims' families were in a frenzy. Quick! Their lives depend on you. Please, save them! There was no time to dwell on the past. No space for reflection. Here, she knew what had to be done. Breathe, she reminded herself. 1, 2, 3. Another explosion. 4, 5, 6. More wounded. 7, 8, 9. It was time to feel alive. Lemia hurried towards the operating room, the familiar rush of purposeful exhilaration surging through her. But just as she reached the door, a deafening roar filled her ears. She was thrown to the floor, something heavy crushing her bones. She coughed, breathing in dust. The last thing she saw before the darkness engulfed her were the walls caving in. She could still hear a faint heartbeat, muffled cries from those around her. But it didn't last long. In those last moments, Lemia realized that the war she had given herself to had taken her in return. She had believed she could save everyone, could make a real difference, but in the end, she could neither save them nor herself.